Hi, good morning. My name is Danny Shlomo, and today's date is 5/23/2021. Today I wanted to talk about the male reproduction. So firstly, I thought we would go over the anatomy. The external anatomy on the right side of this figure would be the scrotum and the penis. Now, the scrotum contains the testes where sperm is produced, and we also have secondary secretions by the semivesical vesicles, the prostate gland, and the bulbourethral glands, as we're also going to see later on. Now, note the urethra is able to serve the bladder. It's able to have urine leave and also the vas deferens to be able to have also sperm leave. Now, looking into the urethra, looking in the penis tissue, we have the urethra, which is surrounded by the corpus spongiosum, the red over here, and then we also have the corpus cavernosum, which is able, when there is more blood to that area, you're able to have erection for copulation and reproduction. Now, the testes, the seminiferous tubules is where the actual sperm is produced. We have four different types of cells. We have spermatogenic cells, which is able for the sperm actively dividing cells to produce sperm, as we're also going to see later on when we go over mitosis and meiosis 1 and 2, how it's able to come into sperm. The Sertoli cells, are also called cystinocytes, are able to regulate sperm by producing enzymes, hormones, and also ABP, which is androgen binding protein, which is able to bind to testosterone to be able to give nourishment for the spermatogenic cells. They also are able to form through tight junctions the blood-testes barrier. Now, the intestinal cells, as we see right over here, intestinal cells are able to produce testosterone for the sperm cells, also nurturing it. The myeloid cells are smooth muscle cells, and that is able to have contractions during erections to have ejaculation for reproduction. Now, it's controlled by the HPG axis. So the hypothalamus, through his peptin, is able to stimulate the gonadotropin. The hypothalamus is able to release gonadotropin-releasing hormones. Now, the gonadotropin-releasing hormone is able to stimulate the anterior pituitary to release two hormones, follicle-stimulating hormones and luteinizing hormone. Now, luteinizing hormones are able to stimulate the intestinal cells to release testosterone. Now, the testosterone that releases in the blood, that would be able to have secondary characteristics like a deeper voice or pubic hair. And you also have the follicle-stimulating hormones, where it's able to have the Sertoli cells, or we also name them as the cystinocytes. They're able to have cell products where it's able to help with developing sperm, and it's also able to produce what we said, androgen binding protein, ABP, which is able to bind to testosterone that was released previously from the intestinal cells when it was stimulated from the luteinizing hormones. Now, we also have a negative feedback loop. If there is high testosterone levels, that is able to stop the anterior pituitary from releasing luteinizing hormones. And it's also able to stop gonadotropin-releasing hormones from the hypothalamus to stimulate the anterior pituitary. Now, inhibinin is also is released by cystinocytes, is able to decrease follicle-stimulating hormones from the anterior pituitary when there is too much of it there. Now, the spermatogenesis, how sperm actually come. So firstly, we have the cells at the basal lamina, which would be over here. Now, they are a diploid, and they would keep on dividing by mitosis until puberty. Now, after they would produce a type A daughter cell. Now, this type A daughter cell is the product and would always cell by the basal lamina, but then it would also have a type B daughter cells. Now, the type B daughter cell would continue on, and it would go through meiosis 1. Now, from meiosis 1, it would become a primary spermatocyte. Now, remember, it's still meiosis 1, you still have 2N. Now, after it would go into meiosis 2, coming into a secondary spermatocyte. Now, this would be a haploid. Now, after the secondary spermatocyte, it's then actively able to finish meiosis 2, and then it would come into a spermatids. Now, early spermatids would still be in the lamina, but afterwards it's able to become the viable sperm that we see over here that's able for reproduction. Now, sperm has three different parts. You have the head, you have the midpiece, and you have the tail. The head is where the actual nucleus resides, the DNA for able to fertilization. Archosome is an enzyme that it's able to go into the oocyte where it's able to fertilize, it's able to pass through the barrier, and able to fuse to be able to bring in the DNA to fertilize the egg and then form a zygote. The midpiece is where mitochondria for ATP, where it's able to give the energy for it to go, and then the flagella to go to find the egg, and then the flagella is able is giving it motility to be able to also go for the egg to fertilize it and have a zygote, to produce a zygote. Now the actual sperm contents, there's 4 different types of the contents of the sperm. We have the seminal glands, which are able to contain sugar, coagulating enzymes, postgalactins. It's able to give the sperm the motility that it needs, as we see here, the semivesical vesicles. You also have the prostate, which is right over here, which is able to activate the sperm. It's able to produce the prostate-specific androgen, which is a factor when we're looking for cancer, and also it's able to have it's slightly acidic for the sperm. The blood urethral gland, over here, is able to, very small gland, it's able to give thick clear mucus for the pre-ejaculation, and it is able to neutralize the urethra from the urine that passed, because as we noted before, the urethra serves also the urinary bladder. The sperm is what the actual sperm contains from the seminiferous tubules, over here from the testicles, from the epididymis, vas deferens, and it also has all the secondary secretions that we just mentioned, and that is what's needed for reproduction by ejaculation. Thank you so much. Here is my citations. So just to go over, we briefly went over the anatomy, we went over the different types of cells, we went over how it's regulated by hormones, we also went over the different secretions that cells have, and how they make up sperm, and what actually sperm is made out of, the 3 different parts: the head, the mid-tail, the mid-body, the mid-piece, and the tail. Thank you so much.